Hello and welcome! A few days ago, I finished another sketchbook, and in celebration, I'll share the flip through of the whole adventure from start to finish. Beginning with the front cover, I combined a mix of stickers and doodles with some silver and gold. There's a mix of stickers of all different sizes, some that I custom designed, and others that were gifted to me or collected. I discovered a silver and gold gel pen that I had a lot of fun with in the sketchbook, and I thought it fit the design of the holographic stickers nicely on the front cover. Stickers equal happiness, so I was just picking ones that made me smile, and I hope you're smiling too. With each sketchbook, I aim to have some sort of intention in mind, but also leave room for ideas and experiments to arrive in the moment intuitively. Since this is a mixed media sketchbook intended to handle different dry and wet media, I explored a ton of different mediums, some completed paintings and some sketches, so with all the experiments in mind, you may notice a wide array of it all mixed together. Jumping right into the first spread, I wanted to create a warm welcome to the sketchbook where imagination meets the miracles of life. Exploring some typography and design, I like to stretch all the creative muscles. I started the sketchbook in January 2023, beginning with a little self-portrait illustration, and since we started and finished this sketchbook together, let's fill in that finish date too. I wanted to communicate the excitement, fun, and happiness to start, taking inspiration from elements in the studio, some supplies, my handy-dandy jumbo magic wand pencil, and of course my awesome studio buddy. Great company indeed. If you watched the video where we started this together, I break down the whole process, but I'll have everything linked below in case you want to check it out. With this spread, I experimented with a lot of anatomy studies, starting with ballpoint pen and then adding in all of the flowy elements with paint and colored pencil. Once I had the figures in, I actually added in the paint under and focused on the negative space to create this flow in the composition. I kind of just laid out all the colors and added the dark blue for some contrast, and just tried to experiment with my intuitive flowy lines that I enjoy doing. I began the sketchbook with an itch to practice anatomy, and a great way is to go back to basics with some graphite and do a bunch of turnarounds. Drawing is the basis of it all, and it's always a goal of mine to keep drawing, keep practicing. So above, I laid out some full body drawings. These were about 5 to 7 minutes timed each. These were all basically started with graphite, and then I used a blending stump to get in some of the values. That helps to save time when drawing quickly under a timer. And below are close-up head turnarounds of the same reference of the full body above. Many of you guys submitted how you guys practiced gesture drawings with me in the video. It was super awesome to see you drawing along. I enjoy drawing with fountain pens, so on the left I drew some different sauces like Tabasco sauce, ketchup, some salt and pepper, lemons. I was out having dinner and watching a football game with some friends, and I couldn't help but draw in the moment. These are actually like little mini still lifes you can practice. Essentially, you're going over the cylinders, assessing basic shapes that pretty much make up more complex objects. I had fun with these, and the little details were interesting to draw as well. Over on the other side was another experiment I did with a full body. Here I drew it out in graphite and then I went over it with some gouache. Really focusing on texture, getting the anatomy correct, the facial expression, the gesture. I really enjoyed this color palette with the dark blues and a pop of red. And ooh, that hand was a challenge, but I'm really pleased with the way that it came out. Have you ever tried to illustrate a feeling, or maybe describe a feeling in shape? I find hugs to be super special and a really sweet exchange of energy, so I tried to illustrate that with the flow on the left. Drawing or painting flowy shapes has always brought a sort of calmness to me. For example, over here on the right, I started off with the shapes and then I added all these random elements to the top and some typography and text as well. Sometimes I have a conversation with myself through my art, if that makes sense. And I think these can work as little pieces on their own, so here's the piece on the left in some graphite. This was around Valentine's Day, I believe, so that fit nicely. And over on the right, a little doodle text with some colors and just a little bit of fun. When was the last time you did something for the first time? Here I was sitting in a beautiful coffee shop surrounded by flowers. The whole scenery was full of color and shapes and all these little details. This was one of those days where you don't really plan on sketching, but you still have your sketchbook with you just in case. And when the environment really draws me in, I can't help but sketch. On the page beside it, I practiced some colored pencil drawings, which are a lot of fun. My main focus was to try and shade in one direction, and also try to choose colors that would fit beautifully together on one page. Going back to some anatomy studies, I really tried to break down different colors, different shapes. Every complex form can be broken down into more simpler forms, so this was a way for me to show up to the page and practice that day. Sometimes certain simple references really inspire me and I turn them into something completely different. I've never drawn with watercolor pencils before, so this was me trying them out. This felt so much like a daydream, so I added the flow of the hair mixed with the butterflies, and that was my way to show movement throughout the piece. Over on the next page were a few little sketches, paintings, and a bit of writing. I was feeling pretty colorful here, so I practiced some gouache painting with bright colors, and the intention was to really focus on the planes. And over beside it, I did a little landscape, pretty whimsical. Painting little landscapes are so much fun, especially when you have fun colors and great to do in gouache. And I love these as a set, and I thought they would work really well together, so I turned them into a sticker and postcard for my patrons. Seeing them come to life as something I can send out to you guys was super cool. And although this was March mail, my patrons who joined later really wanted to have access to previous mail, but thanks to our sponsor Squarespace, I was able to set up a secret Patreon shop. That way, anyone who joined later can have access. I love this feature and it definitely made my patrons happy. As a full-time artist, I was so happy to find this all-in-one platform where I was able to build my website. Here's a lovely throwback of my Italy travel sketchbook. Thanks to their award-winning templates, I was able to drag and drop my images, and they're beautifully displayed right from your mobile device and on your computer. Having a place where people can come see your portfolio, a closer look to some of your sketches, or a place for people to shop and purchase some prints or get free downloadable sketchbook prompts, this is a great place to start. Head over to squarespace.com for your free trial, and once you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/JessCarp for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. This was about March of this year, and I took a little trip on a cruise, and as soon as I got on the ship, I wrote this little text before we took off and sailed away. I had the pleasure of meeting new friends and recording some new videos. This was a quick drawing I did of my friend Lexi, and she wrote me a nice little text on the bottom for some memories.
Yeah, it's me!
You like it?
It's so cute! I love it!
I find humans to be super interesting to observe and a great challenge to draw from life, especially when people are moving just a bit. But here I just combined some watercolor and ink and drew exactly what was in front of me in the moment. Okay, on this spread, I tried to include ballpoint pen, watercolor, acrylic. I played with values and shading, trying to add some animals into the composition as well. And it was interesting to do a darker background against a lighter, brighter color. And right beside it, playing around with completely flat color. One thing I learned was that line variation can really help with the way you want to communicate as well. The color purple, one that I don't normally grab, but was surprisingly shocked on how much fun it was to use. I started off with a yellow highlighter and made my way over with some purple ballpoint pen on top. I also used purple fluid acrylic for the background, and then the beautiful gold accent pen that I had so much fun using, and that was a nice little detail to add to include some more flow. If I ever sit down and have no clue on what to draw that day, I always go into portraits and using some ballpoint pen. It's a great little icebreaker for me, and one I always find interesting to study. This next spread felt like a little story of its own. she walks through nature, there's a flow of her walking into the light, something I believe we all have in us. I started the flow off with some watercolor pencils, experimenting with wet on wet technique, and then going in with like a thick crayon on top. With this spread, I began to love texture more and more, and I fell back in love with mixed media too. Practicing some more monochromatic color pencil portraits, I decided to play around with the composition and really push the contrast. And I rarely go for a flat black background, but hey, no risk, no reward, right? I always like to take elements that I enjoyed from previous pages and see how I can push it further, try something new, but still stick to what feels good. I think this spread can have so many meanings, but I'll leave that up to you. I got to visit a local Japanese garden and see an art friend I haven't seen in a long time from art high school. We got to draw and paint together, and this one I did in about 20 to 25 minutes. I got to finish right before the security kicked us out. I'm definitely always the last one to leave any place before it closes. This was a really interesting experiment, starting with red ballpoint pen, adding some graphite, and then a graphic black acrylic background. This is an acrylic painting of a lovely tiger. Once again, I wanted to play around with patterns, lots of chunky brush strokes and textures. I was having a really good time with the splatters, yet still keeping it in a beautiful balance. I'm really thankful for my patrons because they really pushed me to experiment, and these designs exclusively go out to them in the mail. On the page beside, I did some sticker designs of floral patterns with different backgrounds in an oval shape. After putting out a poll for everyone to vote, there was a really close one, but this was a crowd favorite and I might need to make them a sticker pack soon. It's really interesting how you never guess to come up with some things when you're experimenting. You'll always surprise yourself. If that's ever happened to you, you definitely know how it feels. Okay, there's actually a story behind this spread. One late evening, I went on a walk with a friend, and suddenly I was followed by this little cat. I also felt like he was trying to tell me something, so this spread is inspired exactly from that moment. On this spread, I used gray markers to complete these dancer drawings. A little fun fact is I have a dance background. I used to train in ballroom dancing for hours on end, and dance will forever be in my heart, and I find it to be super special, another beautiful form of expression. And I'll definitely have to do a series on dancers because this is a topic I'm super passionate about. On this spread, I really tried to exaggerate the size and really tried to push the proportions, make the head smaller, maybe the legs longer. There's always so much you can do to play around with stylization. So I put these two figures and tried to enlarge them the whole page, because there's a huge difference between practicing drawing small and large. Now, I've done this in previous sketchbooks where I've drawn blobs and made faces out of them, but I tried to do this with colored pencil in this page. This is a great exercise. It's so much fun, it's very freeing, and it's always enjoyable. Right beside, I wanted to create really detailed graphite drawings. I really love these. I love me some good old graphite. Monochromatic color studies or drawing in one color is great for alleviating any pressure when you're trying to choose colors. I did this drawing in color pencil and ended up making 2 stickers out of them for my patrons as well, and the hand ballpoint pen drawing became a postcard. To me, this piece just screams feelings and magic. I also had a discovery with the watercolor wet on wet technique. This texture actually happened from just splattering water on top of a wet surface. I'm definitely a big believer on making time to play with your art supplies. Here I played with a new pigment that I got. It was like a lavender pigment, and I paired it with a little bit of graphite and ink. And I also created these as a set to go together. Now I was doing a lot of mixed media, but I haven't tried oil paint in this specific sketchbook yet. Here's a grisaille portrait I did of a friend, and I started putting up the process over on my Instagram. And if you haven't found me on there yet, let's be friends there too. I have to say that I was truly surprised on how well the paper held up all the mediums. Whether you're doing swatches, gouache, oil, acrylic, it really performed quite well. Here's one of my favorite spreads and experiments that I've done, Super Revelations with the Zorn palette. This video randomly took off on the channel, so thank you guys so much for your support on there. The Zorn palette, if you're unfamiliar, is based off 2 colors, yellow ochre and a red, and then you add black and white into the mix, and this originated with the Swedish master painter Anders Zorn. And here's one of the first studies I did testing out that palette. Oh, and of course, some typography practice on the bottom left. Here's a quick little figure study in gouache using a limited color palette, and then a flow of highlighter and different colors cross-hatching. This was actually a class that I taught for my patrons, a full 2-hour demo expressing color, showing this specific technique in depth, and seeing how each color can morph with one another and then show through and create lovely mix and array of color after. Everyone did so incredibly, we had so much fun on the session, and it's a really great feeling to create with a bunch of people and artists all together. We got some elephants over on the left. These were some character drawings in all different positions on the page in graphite. I've actually never done studies of elephants before, and drawing them made me so happy. I think they're absolutely beautiful. I don't know, I'm a huge animal lover, and these were so much fun. I tried to give each of them some personality, you know? And over on the right, some foxes sleeping and playing. I used markers, ink, and purple ballpoint pen on top. Some more highlighter and marker study up top of a scene from an apartment, a floral design below with ink. This one was super satisfying to draw. And here, practice some gesture drawings in black and white and in color using gouache. I broke this process down into 2 simple steps, so you can definitely check out this video. Sometimes less is more. And speaking of which, at times I just like to take a good old ballpoint pen and create a bunch of drawings with just that one simple supply. This spread was all about unity and creating diversity, having everyone in one spread. With a composition, I had everyone facing towards the middle, all different shapes, all different sizes, all different expressions. Just humans being humans. On this spread was a little explosion of randomness, just drawing out feelings and emotions using colored pencil, marker, and ink. A lot of different shapes and movement combination with some text. I really liked the way this middle portrait came out, but this one specifically had zero plan and just a bunch of doodles and drawing. And somehow, someway, they came together as one. I tend to have spur moments where I really crave to draw with ink. This spread right here is one of those moments, and I love the mix of drawing from imagination, having a little doodle, and drawing from references as well. We started this sketchbook strong together, and I decided to finish it strong as well. This is the oil painting from the previous video. There is a personal story and deep meaning behind it, but I loved exploring writing and painting and a new palette and a new adventure of change with this painting. I want to invite you guys to do a quick reflection with me and think of a memory where you felt really warm and fuzzy and happy. Feel free to share that in the comments below, and we can all connect with our stories. Well, we've come to our last spread. I really enjoyed bringing this last one to life. It works great for some affirmation and a little pick-me-up. For all your positive feedback in the previous video and everyone who requested, I'm happy to announce that this is now a limited edition print available on my website. I'm doing a limited run of these, so be sure to click the link in the description to get yours. In life, sometimes we have absolutely no clue what comes next, but it doesn't hurt bringing enthusiasm and excitement to wanting to find out. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this one. It was a little glimpse into my heart and soul. And as always, after completing, it's time to fill in those dates and put it on the shelf. And this is the gold pen I was talking about. Don't we all love a gray gel pen that is super satisfying to write or draw with? Thank you so much for your endless support, for your love, for your comments. I'm so grateful to have you here. This is always definitely a bittersweet moment for me, but regardless, I'm really happy and grateful I can share it with you all over the world. If you want to continue binging some sketchbook tours, feel free to check out this playlist, and I'll see you in the next one.